justification on why it doesn't need to be classed that we can be a small school and still compete. Like I think Crown Point's a huge school, you know, and that's who Blake drew. Friday night, Wyatt drew Carroll, Fort Wayne, another huge school, especially compared to us. So I'm against classing it. But, you know, if we did class it, we'll probably stand here with 2 state champs. But, you know, it's not the same in my opinion. If you're a competitor, I think you want to stand out as the #1 guy. You know, same thing with Nate last year. Nathan Woodman would have been a state champ in a class individual system. But
it was impressive up at Bankers Live. They got big screens all around the top, updating team scores. And, you know, it's 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, and you look up there, and it's Warren Central and all these huge schools, and North Oakley's ranked 6th out of 107 schools over there at the time, and I think we finished 15th. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty impressive to see all these schools. They got 4,000 or 5,000 students, and these two guys had us up there on the board with all of them.
Outstanding. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
You guys are more than welcome to stay. We have quite the exciting meeting.
You want to really quickly introduce who you brought with you?
My mom and my dad.
My wife, Jessica, I'll get in trouble if I don't say that. Coach Mom.
So thank you all for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're live now, right?
All right. Next up is patrons' concern, and we do not have anybody signed up, so we'll mark that accordingly. Next, we have the minutes, claim docket, consent items that were already sent to everybody. We'll entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items as listed.
Take a second.
A second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Schmidt and seconded by Mrs. Will. We have some retirements in there that we would like to take a moment and just recognize. Mr. Allen, you want to?
Yes, so this evening we are losing a couple of teachers that have been with us for a very long time. They're kind of individuals that are fixtures in this district. And I know Mr. Gentile and I were talking this morning, and he said that probably most of these teachers you all had when you were coming through the school here. So Paul Rinkovich is retiring from North Posley High School after 38 years within the social studies department. Susie Dugan is retiring from North Elementary School after 26 years of service to our elementary students. And then Jennifer Neidig is retiring from North Posley High School after 21 years of service in the business department. And, you know, all of these people, not only were they teachers, but they were also involved with several of our extracurricular activities as well. And, you know, were just instrumental in making sure that we provided a well-rounded education to all of our kids, not just within the classroom, but after-school activities as well. And so we want to recognize them this evening and wish them the best as they move into the next stage of their life. And as I've told them all, as I sent emails to each of them as they submitted their stuff, I said, you know, we wish you the best, but don't be a stranger. You're still welcome to come back because you're always going to be a part of the North Posley family. And so, you know, you guys have them. You probably know more stories about them. Maybe some stories that they don't even want you to tell and stuff. But anyway, so we appreciate them and wish them the best.
Absolutely. Those are large shoes to fill, and experience-wise gaps that won't be bridged. So
I didn't have any of them as students, but I taught Susie Dugan.
did you really?
So she's my student.
I know
Yeah.
Mr. Rink not only had us, but he had our,
He had our
some of us
kids.
had our kids too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a long time. So we wanted to send those well wishes out and recognize them for their service as well.
Mr. President, I also want to point out that the request from Coach Jerry Gentile was added today. We want to make sure that the board is aware of that, requesting for some assistant coaches. So
Mark that as accordingly. Any other comments or questions? So again, I don't think we have the,
Oh, it's already on there. Okay. Thank you.
okay. We good?
Yes.
All right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Good business, Mr. Goblin.
So this evening, there's that time of the year again, where we are beginning to make our preliminary proposal for summer school of 2021. As you may remember, last year we didn't have summer school because of COVID hitting us. And so this is the preliminary one. The classes that we are proposing may or may not end up flying. It just depends upon what students enroll and what they're interested in. As always, the state of Indiana is saying that they will reimburse us for 105%, depending upon the state budget appropriation. And that's, of course, dependent upon how much money they have at the state. Usually school corporations do not receive the full funding for summer school. So just be aware of that. We are doing some things a little bit differently this year. The high school will be running their program from June 1st through June 25th. They'll be offering English 9, 10, and 11. We are going to, we heard about our strength and conditioning class. We are going to be offering advanced physical conditioning this year. Algebra 1, first and second semester. SAE, or supervised agricultural experience. This year, our new band director is wanting to do summer band program, so we're going to do that. And of course, we're going to be offering government. The junior high this year would like to do a jump start program. This will be July 26th through August 6th, prior to the school year starting, the 2 weeks before. And that will be for English 1 and Math 1. And then elementary, of course, we are required by state law to do the 3rd grade iRead retester program. So we'll be doing that May 28th through the June 11th in order to get those kids prepared to retake that test towards, I believe that window opens up the middle of June. But then 2nd and 3rd grade are going to do a jump start program as well. That will be July 26th through August the 6th. And some of these have come from talking to the other principals with the COVID to try to help these kids kind of get back over that that time that they missed last year and stuff, to kind of give them a little bit of a boost there and stuff. We are required to submit our preliminary proposal by April the 1st. And then once our summer school is completed, usually towards the end of the summer, we'll submit to the state our final expenditure report for summer school. So, Mr. President, we bring that forward this evening for consideration by the board of our preliminary proposal for summer school 2021.
Well done. I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary proposal for summer school.
Second.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Mr. Oakley and seconded by Mr. Colley to approve the preliminary proposal for summer school. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. You're still up.
Next up this evening is we have an agreement, and I provided some documentation on this to the board members of, this is a natural gas purchasing cooperative. And that you can see there are several Indiana schools that participate in this, including Mount Vernon School Corporation. And this is something that what allows us to do is allows us to purchase our natural gas in advance when costs are lower, and really helps to save us money. And as I think I've shared with you, even during the interview phase, what we're trying to do is we're trying to cut costs as much as we possibly can. And so if there's any way that we can reduce costs to us as a corporation, it helps us in the end to possibly save money in our education fund, to be able to give more monies to teachers, and as well as continue to support our programs. So this is a cooperative, like I said. What we usually will try to do is we meet as superintendents, usually on a quarterly basis, and we look at the futures for gas. And so we try to purchase anywhere from 60 to 70% of our natural gas during the summertime. out for next year to reduce those costs. I know, like, for example, I was talking to the gentleman that oversees this. The current company that we're going with just does not do that. So like in February, we were mainly dependent upon whatever that market does. And of course, in February, because of the Texas crisis and stuff, natural gas prices went way up because of the shortage and things. And so we're going to be expecting some big bills coming in. So this is a way for us to just control that a little bit and try to get out in front of that and help to keep our costs low. There is a membership fee connected with this, but we have, I've done this, some other superintendents have done this for us as well. We've priced this out, and every one of them, even some of the most tightest superintendents, have proven that this is a cost saving still to us, even with the membership fee. So I bring that forward this evening for your consideration, Mr. President and Board, that we enter into this consortium to help with our gas prices going forward.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we enter the agreement with the East Central Indiana Natural Gas Cooperative.
Second.
Second.
So the motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mrs. Will, to approve the agreement to participate in the East Central Indiana Natural Gas Cooperative as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions?
We could withdraw from this. It's June of every year, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
The worst case scenario, you could lose $4,000 if you didn't gain anything.
Right,
So
right.
definitely seems like it's worth the gamble.
It's definitely benefited school corporations that participated in this. This organization also, we actually participated in a petition to the state legislators about a month or two ago, and this organization was overseeing that, of where we could become part of a consortium to purchase electricity at a reduced cost. And so they're working very hard to try to push down those costs. And state legislators are understanding that this is an area that we have no control over, and the costs are going up. And if you remember correctly, we are transferring monies from our education fund to our operations fund to cover these costs. So the more natural gas costs, electric costs, those kinds of things go up, the less money we're able to have for our teachers in the education fund. So.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
Next up this evening, we talked a little bit about this last month, and I want to come back and hit it again, is the state of Indiana has been taking up House Bill 1005, Senate Bill 412, and Senate Bill 413. And this is dealing with what we have classified as, they're calling it education savings accounts. We probably know it better as voucher system. The voucher system was created, I believe, back originally around 2011 underneath Governor Daniels at that time. It was mainly for the monies to be able to follow the child. And so in other words, if I was a parent who chose to send my child to a private charter school or parochial school, that money would follow that child. And this has been, originally the program started out only servicing lower socioeconomic students within depressed areas of the state, such as Indianapolis and places like that, giving them school choice to choose to go to a better school that they're choosing. Throughout the years, what we've seen happening is that very few of those kinds of kids are really using it. Has become more of something with charter schools. And what we've seen happen with the charter schools, and I've personally experienced this in my previous district, is that there is no accountability, meaning that the laws and regulations that control us as a public school are not placed upon these charter schools. Lots of times the administration is being paid astronomical amounts of money. These schools have mainly gone bankrupt, and they've closed down, taking taxpayers' money and then they will go to the opposite side of the state and reopen again underneath a different name and continuing underneath the same kinds of workings and stuff. And so there's no accountability connected to that. This is as I shared with you last month, this school corporation, North Posey alone, has lost over $200,000 annually each year through the school voucher program. And so that it's definitely something. It does not matter whether you have a parochial or a charter school in your district, you are still losing that money because they're taking it away from every public school in the state. And so the reason why we come this evening and bringing this, and we also have here this evening Mr. Brad Wallace, who is our Teacher Association president, is that the state of Indiana came out, Governor Holcomb came out with his budget and said that in this COVID year that he was still going to increase the budget for public schools. The problem is what we've now found out is that a lot of this is going back towards this school voucher program. And so even though we've been promised more money, a lot of that money is going to be ate up from the school voucher program. And so we have asked, and school boards and teachers associations across the state of Indiana has stepped in and created these resolutions to send to their legislators to say that this is wrong. This is not right for us to be taking money out of public schools and moving into the charter schools and parochial schools in the area. And so, so this evening we bring forward this resolution. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions that you may have about this. But it's something that I feel like that, if parents choose to take their children someplace else, that's their choice. But we don't need to do that at the detriment of public education. And that's really what's beginning to happen.
Yeah, I think that's a key point, and we've talked about that, is that this isn't against private schools. There's a place for private schools in our education system, but not at the expense of public education funding. And I think we all have agreed that we've seen that the pie is still the same. It's just a bigger chunk of the pie is going to the voucher program and the private schools, which is why we're receiving less.
And we've talked a little bit last month about that the state of Indiana, because of vouchers, has mainly become a referendum state. And as we shared last month, and we are very frugal, and we're a very conservative school board and a school district. But with what the state has done to us, it's not if, but when we would have to pass a referendum to just stay competitive with our school corporations around us and to make sure that our kids are still receiving the quality of education that North Posey students and families are used to. And so these are the kinds of things that are really forcing the hand of school corporations to begin to walk down this road. And we really just feel like it's a travesty to our kids to be doing these kinds of things. I will go on this record too. I spoke to Senator Tones earlier this week. He is not in favor of this bill. I appreciate his support in that. And as I shared with Mr. Gentile this morning, once we pass these resolutions, I will forward them to our state representatives because they are our representatives and they should be representing our wishes and our concerns within within their constituents.
Anybody else?
I would just encourage everybody to do the same thing that Mr. Galvin's done, that I know I've done, I'm sure the rest of the board has done, is contact your state legislators and let them know that we're not okay with the portion that's going to these students that's not in ratio with the entire population of the state.
I think it's important to note that it's not that probably any of us here believe in school choice. I think the majority of folks do, but statistically, I think it's 87% of kids in Indiana are educated by public schools, which means that most of your school choice, if someone chooses to go elsewhere, they're choosing another public school over a private school. And this bill doesn't treat that fairly. It's disproportionately taking a sum of money and moving it specifically to charter and private schools, when that's not what the majority of school choice is.
Agreed. Just to point out the severity or the importance of this, I can't think in 8 years we've signed a resolution. So, this being the first, now maybe that doesn't mean that there wasn't cases for us to do one in the past, I'm not saying that, but, this is an important part of education and what's in front of the legislature right now, that we're taking this action. The ISBA, I don't know if you guys have saw, but they asked us to which is the Indiana School Board Association, asked us to forward our resolution if we should choose it to them as well, to attach to the others that have been passed throughout the state.
So you have two resolutions this evening. One is the resolution in conjunction with, or a joint resolution with the North Posey Teachers Association, and the other one is the resolution from the actual Board of Education, so North Posey. So you can vote on them separately, or you can vote on them together, however you choose.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve both resolutions.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Oakley and seconded by Mr. Colley to approve both resolutions as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Brad, would you like to say anything?
Well, just so that you guys are understanding, 1005 is out of the House. It's already been approved. So it's at the Senate right now. So unfortunately, not trying to dissuade you from contacting Matt Hofstetler or Wendy McNamara, but at this point, it'd be more of a, just so your emails, they've already voted for it, just so that you know. So if you're asking not to vote for it, that part's already done. So Jim Holmes is like I say, that's the guy to hit right now if we can get any chance of stopping this bill. So
I think Wendy did vote against that one, right?
you know what, I think you may be right. Nancy, I think she did ultimately vote against it. Matt was actually one of the oversigners of it, so he was quite in favor of it.
Thanks, Brad, for coming out.
Thank you.
So we sign that now, or you want to sign that?
We can send it now. Do we have another copy of this? A copy with
Close and close.
there you go. Get this copy. Brad, you want to come up and you can sign? You sign there, and Amy will sign as secretary.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're good? We're good?
Next up this evening, we have, last year, I was looking back at last year's minutes, and I believe last year we had a flu epidemic that kind of went through and caused for several days for the corporation to be shut down. This year, of course, we had our snowstorm where we were out for 9 days because of that. And so what I'm bringing forward to the board this evening, we normally would have them, our paraprofessionals make up about 4 hours. I believe our food service people usually make up about 2 hours. So we're asking to reduce that to 50%, meaning just 2 hours and 1 hour of working, because we just felt like that with the amount of time of school we have left, that was going to be too difficult for us to get those things made up. So we're bringing that forward this evening for your consideration to reduce those expectations. As you're aware, certified staff, we kind of asked for them because of the COVID and all of the stress that has come with COVID this year. During those days, I encourage our teachers to just, not get carried away with the assignments and stuff. Just let kids have some fun in the snow, and as well as our teachers go out and have some fun in the snow too. But so that's kind of the reason why I thought it would be wise for us to bring this forward as well, to kind of reduce the expectations as well for our bus drivers, our cafeteria, and our non-certified staff. So we bring that forward this evening, Mr. President, for your consideration.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the waiving of 50% of the makeup hours.
Second. I'll second. We have a motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mr. Oakley to approve the waiving of the 50% of the makeup hours for bus drivers, cafeteria, non-certified staff, as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions?
I'm new again, exactly what does this mean? I don't know.
So what we usually do is we require people to make up hours if they missed hours. We still pay them the full amount, but what the board has to actually do is that it then becomes what classifies a benefit. In other words, they've not worked the hours and stuff. And so what we're doing is reducing that amount that they would have to make up.
Because they're paid their hourly basis
Yeah.
instead of
They
the
still
salary
make their
contract.
regular salary.
They would still make their regular salary, correct? But, they would have had to made up over, like a paraprofessional would have had to make up
32 hours.
32 hours. So, and to try to do that after school, it's just impossible to do that. So.
And like Mr. Galvin said, there's precedent for this. We've done this in the past when we've had large extended absences from school. So. Any other comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Personnel.
Next up, you have a professional leave request from Michael McMunn. This is for Project Lead the Way core training. It will be done virtually, and this will be taking out the CTE grant.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the professional leave request.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Willis, seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve the professional leave request as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Reports.
Reports, we do want to give our condolences and sympathies to the Beaker family. Mr. Tim Beaker passed away on Saturday, February 20, 2021. He had served on the board here for 16 years. In fact, I believe I remember him being on the board when Barbie graduated. That's kind of what I was thinking. So,
Maybe about the right time.
yeah, it was here and very much part of the community and stuff. So we want to give our sympathies and condolences to the family.
Absolutely.
Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and skip down and then we'll come back to Mr. Shank if it's okay with the board. COVID update. We have one quarantine down here at the high school and one quarantine at North Posey Junior High and 0 every place else. Hopefully we are past this and ready to hopefully get stuff starting the next school year. Hopefully can get back to normal. And fingers crossed. I know. You have the good news report there as well. A lot of great things are happening. Of course, we had a couple of weeks off with snow. First off, I want to congratulate all of our North Posey schools and their teams. Every school has been selected to receive a STEM visit for STEM certification. So this is great. For us the possibility for us as a district, an entire district to be STEM certified. This is an exciting opportunity for us, and we are monitoring this closely. I've told all the principals, let me know if there's any way that I can assist you in making this happen. And we will, if we accomplish this, we will be making a huge press release with this and giving the little newspapers and media outlets out there to cover us. First, as always, we're starting our testing part of the year. North Elementary, South Terrace are starting IREAD this week. And then the Counselor Appreciation Week was back in February, so we wanted to recognize that. You can see through there the rest of the other stuff. I'm not going to read everything else to you, but just kind of want to highlight the STEM certification. The other thing I have for you this evening is Mr. Shank shared with you during the executive session this evening on the athletic program, and we felt like this would be great to bring it into the public forum as well, and the accomplishments that our program has had over the past several years underneath his leadership, and as well as kind of give an update on the strength and conditioning program. And so, Mr. Shank, I'm going to kind of let you come back out again. Huh?
Wherever you want.
Yeah, wherever you want to be at.
Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to let me talk here at the board meeting. This is closing on my 4th year here at North Posey. There were some goals that we had set when I got hired, and just kind of want to take an opportunity to revisit those. First and foremost, I know we had a community-wide meeting when we launched some of our new programming from our strength conditioning, and one of those things we highlighted that night is where we were ranking as far as the conference standings go. That night we talked about us being 8th, 6th in the conference. With our programming, I feel like we've made huge strides. Last year, again, with the COVID short year, we moved up to 4th in both our male and female athlete sports. And again, with not having baseball and softball, we felt like we could finish even higher. Part of that I feel is our strength and conditioning program, and I know that's a lot of things you guys get questioned on. First and foremost with that program, I do feel like we have, like we talked about, really decreased the number of significant injuries we've seen. I think that's a large part of our strength and conditioning program. Kids are stronger, they're more flexible, their bodies are able to take on the long season. With that as well, adding pro rehab to our athletic staff with Ralph has been awesome. She does a great job, and our partnership with pro rehab has been excellent. Our facilities, we feel like our community has done an awesome job of providing our athletes, not just at the high school, but from a community standpoint with the facilities that we need. Driving through here, just the other night, I drive through and the lights are all on. I was a little worried that we left them on, but we've got a baseball camp going out on the football field. We've got softball in our new field house hitting. We've got 2 AAU teams practicing in our main gyms, and we got a wrestling tournament, a junior high wrestling tournament going on in our junior high. So I feel like we have really given our kids, not just our high school age kids, but our kids throughout this community, opportunities that they weren't getting with the facilities that we provided them. One thing I feel like we are lacking, one thing that we're going to make a real push for, it's hard to do this year in the COVID year with all the restrictions. We're talking with Mr. Galvin. We've created a parent club that's really going to get involved in getting this community back reconnected with our programs. We've got some good ideas and some things that we want to do next year for homecoming week. Make it a week-long celebration. Try to get all of our class reunions that week. We want to bring something back to Main Street, a parade, floats that represents everything we do here at North Posey, from academic clubs to athletics. Just to reconnect. I feel like that's the one thing that we're still missing. This community does an unbelievable job supporting us financially, giving us the things we feel like we need to reconnect to them. Make sure this community understands this is their program, and this is a small town. And that's the reason I love being out here, is that small town atmosphere. And athletics, I feel like are a big part of that.
So how is this parent club open to other parents? How do you?
We're trying to get each of our sports to start up their own. We've started with a football deal. We're trying to expand it out, but our goal is to do this. We're pushing all the coaches to try to get the parents involved. I found that when you ask, they show up. And we started just kind of threw it together. First meeting, we probably had 12, 15 there. We had a meeting one night, there's probably 45 parents there. But it's not just about the sport, but it's trying to reconnect this community back to what we're doing. And it's amazing. A lot of former players are starting to reach out, want to get involved. And how can we get back involved in the program? And there's been a little bit disconnect, and this year's been a real struggle with the COVID restrictions. But I think that's a big missing piece of the puzzle.
Go back to when you were hired, and I know that one of the things that was asked of you is to evaluate the athletic program and build on that, and not only just at the high school level, but from the whole school experience and tying in the resources we have in the community. So a true K through 12 type of a program. How do you feel that's coming along?
I think we're moving in the right direction. Several of our coaches have done a really good job starting to build from the bottom up. Football now has a K through 6 football league. Tennis has got a really good youth program going. We've got soccer. We've brought in our club soccer. We've got youth soccer that we're running out of our high school facilities. Our both basketball programs have started up co-ed youth league that I felt like went really well from K through 4 this year. I'm seeing a lot more AAU teams popping up. Last night I watched our 7th grade girls AAU team play for a championship down in Nashville, Tennessee. I know our boys, just from scheduling gyms, I know our boys basketball programs got several teams for the classes. Our wrestling program has got kids from kindergarten on up. So I do feel like there's been a big push for our coaches to build from the bottom up, which I'm not sure was always the case.
One of the things that Waylon and I have talked about is kind of saying, doing that, putting more structure, K through 12, for facilities as well as our programs, to actually be able to, and I know some of our coaches have already done this, but to provide, what kind of plays do we want you to be teaching at the lower levels, to where we can build on that as you move further up and stuff. And so we've had that conversation. We're having a meeting coming up of just kind of beginning to plan through those kinds of things. But the other thing we've talked about is that, we have, quite honestly, we have state-of-the-art facilities now. And we could very easily be hosting AAU tournaments and those kinds of things to bring in additional funds to our athletic programs, and as well to highlight the kinds of things that we have and also be a benefit to our community too.
We do get say because it's sorry, but when you bring in, it's not just funds that you're bringing in.
Correct.
You're bringing people
Yes.
into the community that are going to spend money and also get to see what we have. A shameless plug, but for all the grief that the football field took, the turf field, the youth football program, especially the little kids, probably wouldn't have had but about 2 games last year.
Oh yeah.
Because of weather, and they played them all out here, and I don't think they had a cancellation. The games that you had out there at night really pushed for about the same type of crowd we have at some other events. And we've had graduation out there. You come here and you see the baseball teams out there. They've had the youth camp out there. So it's nice to see that we're using that for what we intended it to be used for.
We get requests all the time for the field house and stuff. Especially with spring sports starting up. I mean, our local little leagues are starting to hit this up. But that's why we built it. I mean, that was the reason we built it. And, when we do host events, it's nonstop. People want to come in and look at the field house. People from the whole southern part of the state see what we're doing out here. I think it's made a big impact. Strength conditioning wise as well, we're getting Tell City. I've met with Tell City assistant principal, their athletic director. They started doing what we're doing. Forest Park's in the same boat. We've had some calls from up north wanting to know how we convince our school board, how we convince our principals, superintendent to let us run on this track. So it's been good for us, and I think people are starting to notice, and we're seeing improvement.
Just to build upon what Jeff had said, I think that's kind of the vision that we had when you came in, was seeing continuity from the top all the way down through the elementary schools, which is somewhat of a change from the way we traditionally have operated, because the elementaries and the junior high have operated independently. Is that something you still want to work toward?
Yeah, I think there's there's a lot of room for improvement in that area, no question. Just getting everybody on the same page, operating under almost, we're one community, and we should be doing things the same way from the high school to junior high to, and I think over time it's going to happen. And as long as you guys continue to allow me to do those type of things, and I'm willing to keep moving in that direction. Piggyback a little bit on those facilities. I get questions a lot on why we're not hosting sectionals. Why are we, with the great facilities we have, why, and just want everybody to understand that that's something we do put in for, but with our location compared to all the schools we're playing in, centrally located, we're probably not going to get any. It's unfortunate, because I do feel like we have some of the better facilities.
Every time I see us send a volleyball team to Perry Central for a sectional,
No,
they do well up there, but if we have to go there one year, they should come here the next year.
oh yeah.
I agree with that.
It's unfortunate a lot of times, we work with Modern Day, they're kind of our ally when it does come to sectionals, because they'll give us the vote and we'll give them the vote to try to get people. Yeah, exactly. That's the only time we work with them. But usually it's a 6-2 vote. The schools towards the east tend to outweigh our votes. So, but we're working on it. Hopefully we're fortunate enough this year to play in the baseball region. I do feel like we got a really good team. It will be hosting them this year. We're going to play Boston Field. So we swayed enough votes to get it here, closer to here.
What's that, baseball region?
Baseball region. Yeah. It's been as far up as Austin High School. That was a 3-hour drive for our kids to play in region.
I don't think any school, except sometimes maybe in boys basketball, has a better facility than what we have. We probably don't seat as many as some of them do. But I'd like to see that huge.
One of the things that we talk about, and everything comes back to money. Enrollment is key to our funding formula, and that's what starts the whole process, based on how the state is funding everything. And athletics has a unique ability to rally everybody, the community, the kids. And one thing I think we've noticed that's missing, that it's not necessarily our fault, but what we'd like to see somewhat of an improvement on is when you drive from Evansville to I-64, unless you're from here, you really don't know that you're driving through North Posey country. And so there's some room for some signage improvement. And how do we improve that kind of wow factor when people do come off the highway onto High School Road and get to our facility to, just a better entrant feel to it. And I know that's all that stuff costs money. We've got to find an alternative source to do that. But
I mean, I think, marketing our program is right. I mean, if you drive through Montgomery, Indiana, you
That's
see
exactly right.
you see Bar Reef High School and a bunch of their athletes up on a billboard. And we had talked about that. Is that something that's worth doing? I mean, to market, hey, this is where we're at. Because you're right, a lot of people, I go to state conferences and stuff, so where they always think this is New Palestine. And now we're North Posey, and they have no idea where that's at. So, I think marketing and getting our name out there is not a bad idea.
Well, and it's funny,
it'd be money worth spent.
we said the same thing about a billboard, maybe having one that's just dedicated for us to have it.
Yeah.
Even if there's some businesses that might go in to help support that, because as you've seen from Mike's good news report, there's a lot of good things happening here.
Yeah.
We just got to tell our story a little bit more, and it would be really neat to see our community get involved as Montgomery does, and really to improve the whole experience for the kids and the community, and that'd be a really nice. That's kind of when we know we've hit it on all cylinders.
I agree.
So is there anything that we can do on our end that outside of writing the check that is preventing or
No, I just think continued support. I mean, it's hard. Change is hard. We came in and tried to change a lot, I think, in a short amount of time. And with that, you do get phone calls, you do get questions, because I guess, there's some misinformation out there on what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, how we're trying to accomplish it. I know Mr. Galvin and I talked a lot about some social media things that I need to do a better job of. Me, I'm not big on social media. I don't like social media, but it's a necessary evil, I think, at this day and age, to reach the people. And it is a challenge out here. We've got a newspaper that comes out once a week to try to get information out. There's so many different social media platforms, which one to get on. So I just think there's got to be a bigger presence there. And I do think we can do some things in downtown Poseyville. I know it's not, big town and all, but when we go play Linton in a football game, you drive through Linton and everybody knows you're in minor country. You just know where you're at. And I think we can definitely do a better job with that. And I think that's getting the parents involved. The more the parents are involved, they like this stuff. I may not be very good at that stuff, but I do have some parents, I think, that do, and we just got to rely on them to let them go and just give them some direction and let them go. And I found that when you ask people out here, they typically are willing to do it.
I agree.
Poseyville has a big downtown section, but I think Harmony Wadesville, there are places there I think would be receptive and would be really supportive of doing things there during sectional weeks, or especially if we win sectionals, moving on to regionals, especially then. The parent thing that you're talking about would be a good end for if we've got kids in other towns to say, hey, we're going to take care of Wadesville, or we're going to take care of New Harmony, or we're going to do something in Cynthiana this week, or even St. Wendell or Griffin.
Any other questions? That's all we have for this evening, Mr. President.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and giving us the update on that. Apologize, it's now almost 8 o'clock, and you've probably been here since 7 or 6, but we appreciate that anyway. All right. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
One thing, and it's kind of random just to get a conversation going. I was talking with a couple who had hoped to create a scholarship, and they found out there's a lot of red tape with it. And I know like EDSC has a foundation and ways that folks can donate to things. Didn't know if that's something we might try to work toward in the future. It's kind of a shame when you have people that are wanting to give money and they find it that difficult. So,
Yeah, I think the couple actually called central office and was asking us about it. And at this point in time, North Posey doesn't have any, like you said, mechanism for us to really be able to control that. And central office, because of the State Board of Accounts, we really can't funnel it through there and control that. So, but it is something that a lot of school corporations across the state have created these education foundations. They're kind of a 501c3, so anyone who donates to those is a tax write-off situation. So it's definitely something that could be done as we go through it. I know South Gibson has Dollars for Scholars. They raise a tremendous amount of money each year for their students and stuff. I've heard that there's a tremendous amount of support here for the scholarships and things like that. I think in that situation there, we would encourage them. Sometimes your community foundation will kind of oversee those scholarships, and especially if it's a smaller dollar amount, they can partner it with other kinds of things and make sure that it's focused and stuff. But it's definitely something that could be looked into as an education foundation.
So would that be education or is it athletic? And I guess I'm confused.
what they were looking at was an educational scholarship, but I was just thinking big umbrella kind of thing, foundation, I guess.
It's a community foundation. Wilson County does have a big.
And that is
Yeah,
where
that's
they were
what-
sent.
Yeah.
Well, they do a lot of scholarships,
Yeah.
right?
The Cooks started a fund that went through there. But like the Danny Embry scholarship, that's a scholarship, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so Danny Embry's got a scholarship. Tom Embry has a scholarship, is that right?
I know Danny does.
That's
I
that
think Tom is too.
yeah, that's given away at awards or honors day.
But sometimes I think what
But
those
those
are,
community,
Yeah, run through.
either that or else, I know some of the scholarships that we were talking about
I know what's-
are done by like that family kind of oversees it, has kind of
yeah,
an
the family.
advisory council or something like that that oversees it.
They come in and present sometimes, but I think the community foundation presents audits.
Oh, yeah.
Private scholarships. and so on.
Well, I would be all for it if it doesn't cost us a lot to manage. We talked about it several years ago and it didn't get very good traction. So
It's outside of the school district. It's a standalone organization is pretty well what happens. And so it becomes an education foundation. You create a board that oversees that and kind of manages the scholarships and things like that.
So what would be the benefit of doing that compared to already using the Posey County Foundation that we have today?
It's as broad as it is long, because like we had an education foundation up there at Twin Lakes, and we were in discussion with the community foundation of possibly taking that over, because mainly what we were running into is nowadays you really need a financial advisor who knows how to really control that money and make sure that it's being invested properly. I mean, there was a lot of discussions that we were having that even went beyond my financial knowledge and stuff, of how you spiral different things and stuff. But so they were in conversation of actually moving everything over to the community foundation to oversee it, because the education foundation, what you usually have is much like this board here, you have a board that's rotating on and off, and so lots of times those individuals really weren't totally knowledgeable. You can still, that advisory board still has the ability to select who the scholarship winners are and those kinds of things, but the community foundation kind of is the one who controls the funds and stuff and says to the board, hey, you have X number of dollars to give away in scholarships this year.
So can we do just a initial exploration of it, maybe come back and report kind of what the benefits are and.
What was the red tape?
I'm really not sure.
Because I was under the impression that if it was our education foundation, we had more control over it than we would. We have zero control of the community foundation unless it's a working relationship, which for the most part has been really good. But because I thought that we appointed some of those board members, if not all of them.
I don't know. I've been here long enough. But sometimes what ends up happening is let's say that you have someone who comes forward and says, hey, I got a $500, a $500 scholarship. A community foundation might say to them, we're really not interested in your $500. If you come to me with $5 million, I'll talk to you. But the $500 one, sometimes what they'll do is if you give 200 and you give 500 and you give 300, we'll put those together. And rather than it just being a will scholarship, it becomes more of a combined scholarship. Some of the issues,
one-time.
correct. It could be a one-time scholarship, or else by having 5 or 6 people putting in that money, they'll invest that, and then you may have a scholarship going forward. Some of the issue that we got into, and sometimes we would possibly suffer with that as well, is North Posey monies going to Mount Vernon, or is Mount Vernon monies coming here? That's where that kind of starts getting sticky and stuff, is because you don't have as much control when you go to the community foundation of that North Posey money coming to North Posey students.
It's like most of them, just because I've been doing it a lot the last few years, so most of them are very specific. They want it to be, you have to be a graduate of North Posey.
Yeah.
That way they get it to stick to here, right? Or they want you to have a certain major, maybe an education major, depending on, like I know the Brentons, right? There's one specifically for Byron Brenton's family, like the whole family, right? So it says you have to be a graduate of North Posey High School. They want it to be someone going into education. They're very specific on most of them.
Yeah. And I think right now we do not have a mechanism for somebody to just donate a chunk of money without a specific purpose tied to it. If we had an education foundation, you wouldn't necessarily it wouldn't have to go to a scholarship, but somebody could just donate money that could build for whatever.
So like, let's say, for example, when you were putting in the turf field out there, and someone came forward, a Bob Buckley, I'll say, and he says, I want you to, I'm going to give you $2 million, and we're going to name that the Buckley Field. That education foundation could become a mechanism by which that money can go through.
And they could do it over a 3-year period, where we typically deal with a year-to-year budget.
Right.
We receive and spend.
Correct.
I think that's the biggest key, and I think in the past, the thought was there wasn't enough activity to really come in that would benefit from it, but maybe we're kind of getting to the point where it might be, and if nothing else, it's worth exploring.
It's worth exploring. And now I made that real simple. So I mean, if Josh was sitting here, he'd probably say, Mike, there's a little bit more to that than that.
It would also cost us more.
It would cost us more, that would correct.
I would think that if somebody has money to donate, oftentimes it's for a specific reason or wants to specifically recognize somebody or something.
But sometimes people, like pass away and they'll leave a portion of their estate to a school or a church and or they'll say make contributions and we've had that in the past. I'm pointing to you guys, but people have passed away and they've asked for the memorial contributions to be made to the school or the athletic department or something like that.
So what I'll do is I'll work on that. Give me a few months, because I'll also bring to you kind of what the community foundation offers as well. So yeah. Okay.
Any other? Think we go to the cause?
Where are we meeting next month? We decide.
I think we're at South Terrace.
As I say, we haven't done the South Terrace yet.
Mhm.
That'd be the last of our 4 stops, correct?
You were North Elementary.
Do what?
North Elementary, you still have to get that.
We have
We
to
just
do
did it recently.
Not this year.
No.
We did?
I guess we were just there so much for,
Yeah, you've
for
been on
all
there
the
quite a bit
stuff,
for
I guess
COVID.
we just stopped.
Yeah, you've been on there quite a bit.
Okay, so we'll end with North Elementary, I guess.
I swore Sharon just gave us a tour.
It would have been probably during the interviews though.
That's probably true. It probably was.
So we didn't get a state of her, we didn't get like a state of the
Okay.
school, the elementary school. All right,
All right, Mr. President.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? So a motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Schmidt. We are so adjourned. Thank you, guys.
I apologize, that phone not being off.